District's YouTube channel. So good evening, everyone, and let's get started. Thank you for joining us. I would like to acknowledge that we are conducting the business of the Board of Education and this strategic planning session on the traditional territories of the Gitxsan, Haisla, Niska, and Tsimshian people. One moment, please. We are honored to work, live, and learn on these territories. I'd like to start with some introductions this evening, and I will start by informing you that my name is Janet Meyer, and I am the Superintendent of Schools for Coast Mountain School District.
Hello, my name is Agnes Casgreen, and I'm a Director of Instruction for Indigenous Education.
Good evening, my name is Geraldine Lawler, and I'm a Director of Instruction for Graduation and Innovation.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Juliana Kars. I'm Director of Instruction for Learner Support.
Thank you very much. And this evening, I'm monitoring two screens here so I can tell what trustees we have on the call this evening. And we'll start with Board Chair.
Yes,
Workup.
good evening. I'm Margaret Workup, your trustee from Terrace and currently the board chair. Welcome, everyone.
Good evening. I'm Raymond Raj, trustee from Gitxsan and your board vice chair.
And Trustee Watson is unavailable this evening, as I believe is Trustee Yonkman, but I know that we do have Trustee McCrory.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm Shar McCrory from Hazelton, trustee from Hazelton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I know that we have members of the public on our call today. I know that we have I know there's at least two teachers on our call. We have principals and vice principals. So I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. And I'd like to start by providing a video overview of the intent of our strategic planning process.
What will education look like in Coast Mountain schools in the next 5 years? What if you had a say in shaping that future, being able to identify what's important, what we should value, what we need to anticipate and prepare for? Amasav. My name is Janet Meyer, and I'm the Superintendent of Schools for Coast Mountain School District. It's time for us to ask you, the people invested in Coast Mountain School District, to share your thoughts, ideas, priorities, hopes, and dreams for the next 5 years. It's a blank slate, if you will, to share ideas and perspectives. Your feedback, including key themes, will be shared and analyzed by the Board of Education.
Hi, I'm Margaret Workup. I'm a trustee from the Coast Mountain School District, and currently I'm sitting as board chair. We're asking you today to participate with us in a new challenge that we have in developing a new or a revised strategic plan. Strategic planning being a very important process where we look at how the future is going to be in our district, how we can serve our students, how we can continue to have excellence in the provision of education.
Quite simply, the question we're asking is, what do you value most about Coast Mountain schools? And what can we do better to prepare our students for the challenges and opportunities of the future? As superintendent of schools, I have 4,400 reasons why strategic planning is important. Every one of our 4,400 students deserves the best possible experience in school. We have designed a process that will allow you the opportunity to have as much input as you wish. We very much want to hear your voice and have your voice included in the discussion with the Board of Education on the direction of our school district.
So what we're asking today is for you to think, reflect, give us input from everyone. What can we do in education so every student has success in their pathways through education? What can we do to be efficient, be effective, be accountable for what we do in education? How can we be inspiring for the future?
This is your opportunity to shape the future of Coast Mountain Schools in the next 5 years. It is my sincere hope that you will join us and share your thoughts about the future of Coast Mountain Schools, because together we are better.
So that video provided you with an overall view of our rationale for engaging in strategic planning. In 2014, when we last engaged in strategic planning, our world looked a lot different than it does now. And we were able to, during that time, go out to all communities and meet face-to-face with individuals and share with people the good news from Coast Mountain School District. We shared information around student achievement. We shared information around student perceptions of their programming. And tonight we plan on doing the same thing. We would like to be face to face with all of you, but given the circumstances that we're in currently, this is the mode that we have chosen to engage communities. One of the things we talked about at the beginning of the strategic planning process was the concept of nothing about us without us. And we have assigned that hashtag as a theme to our strategic planning. And we'd like to share with you a little bit about where we're coming from and where we are coming from, and our priorities as they relate to nothing about us without us.
You might be wondering what this hashtag means. This hashtag stands for nothing about us without us. And we have adopted this hashtag related to our strategic planning process. We are using it as a reminder and an emphasis around the audiences that we need to engage with to get as much input as possible into the future. Is it appropriate that the Board of Education set direction for the next 5 years without the voice of particularly students, parents, Indigenous rights holders? Clearly, the best process will be one that as many voices as possible are heard. So when we reference hashtag NWUWU, we're referring and reminding ourselves of the importance of hearing all the voices, particularly those of our students. Consider this quote from Michael Fullen. He says, "When large numbers of people have a deeply understood sense of what needs to be done and see their part in achieving that purpose, coherence emerges and powerful things happen." Toyoksa Knusum.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Juliana Kars, and I just want to celebrate our achievements so far. So it's always important that before we look to the future, we touch base with the achievements we have made in the past, because there's a great deal to be proud of. There has been extensive work completed in the area of numeracy. Carol Fullerton has become a friend of the district, working with the Numeracy Teachers Focus Group, leading learning around numeracy engagement and developing the numeracy assessment. And I'd like to note that it's being sought after by many districts across the province, and it really is something we need to be very proud of. We've had Brad Marsden, Joe Kroner, and Monique Gray Smith all providing professional learning opportunities to staff within the district. They have been teaching us, guiding us, and helping each person individually acknowledge their part in truth and reconciliation. Colleen Austin is also supporting the school district to understand the work of language revitalization and the role that we play. There has been continued work in understanding literacy, specifically in the primary and elementary years, with the use of cafe reading and blitzing. We have more graduation options and pathways than ever be offered before in our school district, being offered to our grades 10, 11, and 12, with the introduction of several new bar courses and multiple options around the trades programs. We are the first school district to offer the new cybersecurity curriculum, which is very exciting, being offered out in the Hazeltons right now. Young students are involved in the Youth in Trades program, various outdoor education programs, and robotics. Schools have been immersing themselves in social emotional learning. Schools are running a variety of different programs to support understanding emotions, developing strategies, and becoming more mindful, so they can learn to be present, relaxed, and engaged. So it's always very joyful to celebrate so many successes. We can go to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
If you wish to seek out more of our successes and celebrate with us, the best places to look are to the CMSD Twitter and our website. On our website, you'll be able to find the Superintendent's Monthly Report that explains all of the great things that are going on in the district. If you want to go more to a school level, all of our schools have websites and the majority of them also have Facebook. So there's lots of celebration and ways to find out how to celebrate Coast Mountain School District.
Thank you, Julia. Geraldine Lawler here again. So these next few slides are going to show you some data collection and analysis. In order to meet the needs of all learners in Coast Mountain School District, we must have a deep understanding of their strengths, where they are with their learning, and where they would like to go with their learning. In the next several slides, we will show you the results from several different types of assessments, which serve different purposes. By collecting data from multiple assessments, we're better able to understand the story of each learner and develop personalized plans to support individual growth and development and ensure student success. The collection and analysis of this data helps provide valuable information to parents and educators, allows us to work together to address the unique needs of learners, and aids in long-term strategic planning. The Student Learning Survey is administered each year to students in grades 4, 7, 10, and 12, along with their parents and all staff in all BC public schools. The survey serves to gather information about the educational experience and covers a range of topics. Students typically answer between 50 and 60 questions, and we have selected 3 of those to review here. These 3 questions are valuable in providing insight on how students view and feel about their school. The first question, do you like school? Just to clarify, at the side, you see grade 3 and 4 students, and I referenced grade 4 students earlier. The reason grade 3s are included here is because schools that only go up to grade 3 would have their grade 3s take part in the survey. Also note that these data points are showing us the students that reported that they like school many times and all the time. And we also have the data here for our grade 10 students. Note that this data has been collected over a period of 5 years. The second question that we selected was, do you feel safe at school? And again, grade 3, 4 students and those that are reporting many times and all of the time. And next, grade 10 students. And the third and final question from the student learning survey, which we selected, is how many adults at your school care about you? This data shows the percentage of students who reported that they believed there were 2 adults or more who cared about them at their school. Also note that this data shows you percentages over a period of 4 years, because this question was first introduced in 2016-17 to the survey. And again, grade 10 students. Students in grade 4 and 7 write the FSA, which is the Foundation Skills Assessment, and it assesses students in 3 areas: reading, writing, and numeracy. The FSA is BC's earliest provincial indicator of student performance and provides strong evidence of future achievement. This data helps us to further develop student learner profiles, identifying where supports need to be put in place, ensuring that each student is on the path to graduation. So we're showing you in these next 3 slides the grade 7 FSA results, this first one for reading. And you'll see that we have our data for Indigenous students, non-Indigenous students, and then an average of all students. Also note at the bottom, we're saying the percentage of students who are meeting or exceeding expectations. Okay, this slide is showing you the grade 7 results for writing. And then the last slide on the FSA is grade 7 results for numeracy.
Good evening, Agnes Casgrain here. I want to show you a couple of more slides. This slide shows the difference between English 10 and English 10 First Peoples. Sometimes we use slides and information like this to compare. And in this slide, we can see that it looks like students have done much better on English First Peoples 10 than they were able to achieve on English 10. Using these kinds of slides helps us make decisions about what to offer. This next slide shows Form 10 and Pre-Calculus 10 together versus Workplace Math 10. These are 2 very different programs, 3 programs really. Form 10 and Pre-Calculus 10 are the level of math that you need to get into colleges and university. Those maths open many doors for you for post-secondary. Workplace math also opens some doors for you, but not as many as the other 2. So we use these graphs to make decisions, but also to see how students are doing, and also as a way of showing them this is information for them to plan for the future. The next slide I'd like to show you is the 6-year completion rate. Now, we know that if students enter secondary school in grade 8 and end at grade 12, that's really only 5 years of study. But we look at 6-year completion rates because we know that all of the students can't get all of the classes that they need and that they are interested in 5 years. That 6th year gives students the opportunity to take more electives, to look deeper into their learning in certain areas, to develop some more of their passions. And it also gives them some free time so that they don't feel so pressured to do everything. And they often have a little square block in the middle. So we look at this kind of data, first of all, to see how students are doing, to compare. And we want to look at that in a reasonable way. So 6-year completion rate is what we consider a reasonable amount of time to finish the secondary program.
This next slide highlights the grade 10 numeracy assessment, which is a provincial assessment and a graduation requirement that assesses students' proficiency in numeracy. It requires students to apply their knowledge using 5 numeracy processes, including interpreting, application, solving, analyzing, and communicating their learning. Students are assessed on a 4-point scale. You can see at the bottom of the slide, the green arrow. 1 is emerging, 2 is developing, 3 is proficient, and 4 is extending. This assessment was brought in 2017-2018. What we've chosen to show you here are the results from the 2019-2020 cohort. To give you an idea of the size of that cohort, the Indigenous students made up 58 students, non-Indigenous 89 students. So the total was 147. The next slide highlights the grade 10 literacy assessment. It's another provincial assessment and graduation requirement. It assesses students' ability to think critically and make meaning out of a variety of texts and communicate their ideas. Like the grade 10 numeracy assessment, it is scored on a 4-point scale. Emerging is 1, 2 developing, 3 proficient, and 4 extending. This assessment was brought in 2019-2020. So we're showing you the 2019-2020 cohort data here. Indigenous students, there were 60 students who wrote. For non-Indigenous students, 78, for an overall total of 138 students. Students have the opportunity to take these assessments up to 3 times, and their highest score will appear on their transcript as a separate line item. It doesn't affect their mark in terms of their school mark for math or English. As we reflect on all of this assessment data, we recognize that teachers in the classroom do the majority of assessment. And we acknowledge that all of this data collectively is instrumental in our planning for continuous improvement. If you are interested in this data and would like to review it further, it is available for your viewing on our school district website. Thank you.
But there is so much more to learning and to education in our schools than just reading, writing, and numeracy. We want to give students the opportunity to learn all of the things they need to know for life. So school becomes a place. It's a place to explore and discover passions, a place to practice social interactions and learn about relationships. It's a place outside of family where there are people who care about me and my success. School is a place to think about and plan for the future. It's a place to safely tell my story and be accepted. It's a place to learn life skills that are more than literacy and numeracy. Schools are a place to grow and into the person that I want to be.
Thank you. What are the next steps? So given this information and given where we are in our school district, where to next? And that is the question that we're asking people to engage with us about. And in an effort to make this an efficient process, we have decided to use a platform called Thought Exchange, which is a crowdsourcing platform that allows people not only to share their thoughts, but also to reflect and comment, not necessarily comment on, but rate the thoughts of other people. To give you a brief introduction to Thought Exchange, we share this video with you now.
We want to stay connected and hear your questions and ideas. We're using a tool called Thought Exchange to gather your input. First, you'll be asked to share a little bit about you and then answer one open-ended question. Next, you'll see your thoughts and the thought of others and assign stars to each thought, ranging from disagree, 1 star, to agree, 5 stars. You can rate as many thoughts as you'd like. Thought Exchange keeps confidential who shared each thought and who assigned what rating.
Oops, sorry.
You can come back as often as you'd like to star some of the new thoughts shared since you first participated. We will use the results of this exchange to determine our next best steps to support all students and families.
So to that end, I'm going to stop sharing that screen and attempt to share a screen with you that will take you through your experience as a user of Thought Exchange. So as you see here, this is the front-facing view that you will get when you engage with Thought Exchange. And as was mentioned in the video, and as I mentioned already, the very, very positive feature about Thought Exchange is that not only do you add your thoughts, but you also can share and respond to the thoughts of other people. So this is the link that you get. You can see that that link that you get for Thought Exchange. All of the information you require to engage with this is on our Coast Mountain School District website. It gives you the link, you put in the address, participate, and accept the terms of use from Thought Exchange, at which point you will be asked several questions, and they are as follows. And just a second, please. So I am going to do this as though I am a community member. So I'm a community member. I am Caucasian. This is doing these 5 original questions allow staff then, when the process is over, to break out the data by community, by employee group, by any of the parameters that you see here. So I answer 2 questions. I go on and I am at, pardon me, I have to scroll down to get to the other questions. I live in Terrace. I am female or male, and then I'm ready to proceed. So there's an introduction. Your next step is to respond to the overarching question that we have for you, which is, what are some of the things you like about our schools, and what should we focus on to make them the best places for every student to learn? To respond to those questions, you click the arrow. This is the part where you share your thoughts. So I am going to say, as a community member from Terrace, I appreciate the work of all educators and support staff during these difficult times. Why? Because I do. Because what they do matters. That's my first thought. It's as simple as that. And if I had another thought that I wanted to share as well, I could add that below. I could say, and what should we focus on? And I'm not going to do that question because I don't want to skew the data any more than I already have. But I would like to, if I were a person participating, I would like to address the next part of the question, which is, what should we focus on to make them better places of learning for our students? So let's assume I did that. The next step is the part where you can score or rate or star responses from other people. As mentioned in the video, the scale goes from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. And again, I will only do a few so that as not to skew the data. So here's the first question, and you can go through this discover process as long as you'd like. We have in the current thought exchange, since we opened it, we've had 135 participants. We've had almost 200 thoughts, and we've had 3,400 ratings. So we're starting to develop themes in the thought exchange. So if I agreed with this person, I appreciate that school is welcoming. Absolutely, I'm going to do that. And then it pops up a next question. The pandemic has highlighted how outdoor spaces at school are important. Every school should offer these spaces. I may or may not feel, maybe I'm in the middle on that. So I would just start a 3. And you would go on so question by question until your life called you back to what you needed to be doing. You can rate as many as you'd like or as few as you would like. If you are satisfied with only answering or submitting your thoughts on the 2 questions, that's fine. If you would be so kind and have the time available to you to share and star other people's thoughts, that would be much appreciated as well. And as it's stated in the video, you can do this interact with Thought Exchange multiple times until April the 16th when we close the Thought Exchange. So if you enter your thoughts now and you have something else that comes to mind over spring break, you're more than welcome to come back in and add more thoughts. Just going to go back and share the other screen again.
We want to stay connected.
So this is part of the PowerPoint. This is the very slide or the demonstration that I just showed you. You participate, you answer the demographic questions, consider your responses to the overarching question, provide your thoughts and why they are important, and move on to the STAR process. And again, it's a 1 to 5, come back as many times as you'd like. And again, the overarching question. We're seeking input from as many people in and around our school district as possible so that the Board of Education in May can take the information that we've gathered and make informed decisions around the future for Coast Mountain School District. So now is the time in our presentation where we would like to open the presentation or the thoughts open to people on the call. If there are individuals who have questions or if you have comments, you're more than welcome to make them now. And I'm just check the chat to see if there's anyone there. And I'm going to, Spencer, could you share your thought with us? That would be wonderful. Instead of me reading it to you, I would love to see your face and hear your voice.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you. Good evening.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just a thought, maybe touching on what Agnes said earlier, and thank you for that, Agnes. Of course, literacy, numeracy is obviously, there's a vital skills, but some people could argue that traditional schooling forces some students to maybe leave parts of themselves at the school door. So how do we rethink maybe the structure of curriculum and the school environment to allow students to find their passions, to explore those passions? Can't hear.
Sorry, that's a great question, Spencer, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. And that would be a fantastic thought for you to add, and it would be very welcome if you were to do that. Do you have suggestions yourself as to how we could rethink what the curriculum looks like?
Yeah, it's just thinking that we often view students from a deficit model. You know, they are lacking certain skills, so we often try to adjust our teaching or our learning to bring those skills back up to a certain point that we see appropriate. But maybe we're missing something, or maybe we're missing those passions that the students can bring to the table, and that is really what they're wanting to do, and we're maybe not providing that opportunity all the time. So yeah, I'm just thinking of some of the skills, some of the programs that maybe Julia mentioned, the robotics and the outdoor ed programs. And I mean, is that part of the strategic plan going forward to widen those types of programs, or what is the thinking behind that?
That's great question, Spencer. And the answer is now is a perfect time to talk about how important those aspects of our system are, and how important it is to view our students from a strength-based perspective and tailor their experience in school to that would match their strength and their passion. So I can't tell you what's going to be in the new strategic plan. That is a decision that the Board of Education makes in early May, and they will make that decision based on wise and informative comments such as yours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else who would like to jump in and make a comment or ask a question? We have 3 trustees on the call and all of district staff, so you're more than welcome to have your voice heard at this time. One moment, please. So Brenda's, oh. So there is a question in the chat, and it's from Brenda, and she's wondering what percentage of student and staff population have engaged in this process to date. I can't tell you the number of people who were on call 1 and call 2 at this moment, but that's small potatoes, if you will, Brenda, compared to what's going to happen in the next several weeks, because not only are we doing 5 of these presentations, and they will be somewhat similar, we will also be engaging in our April and May staff meetings in all of our schools. So our teachers and support staff have the opportunity. Principals and vice principals have all been on at least one call already. And kudos to some people who are on the call this evening as well. They've been on every one of the calls. So we appreciate that and recognize that. So we have in our schools, after I referred to the staff meetings, we also, in every school that has students of grade 4 or higher, they will be conducting their own student forum as it relates to the overarching question, and students will be given the opportunity to submit their questions and rate the thoughts of others. And if you go through the thought exchange, you can tell already that there have been submissions from students in there. You can tell the difference between them. So I couldn't give you a percentage, but I can tell you that we have these 5 presentations. We have presentations at staff meetings. We have presentations at PAC meetings, and we have the student forums in each school. So by April the 16th, when the thought exchange closes, we ought to keep anyone who wanted a voice will have had the opportunity to have their voice heard.
Janet, is Darlene here. I am for people who are on the here tonight who's participating. Just to say, I really loved what Spencer said, in that, you know, this is a time for us to take a look at practice that maybe be long outdated, to look at our individual learners. And let's face it, some of them are smarter than, you know, the current practice that we're using. So it is hugely important that we really focus on how do we engage learners, how do we take them from where they are and help them move forward in a way that they're feeling challenged, they like what they're learning, they have a say in what they're learning. So it's great work. it's work that will challenge all of us, but I think again, it's work that needs to be done. So I really appreciate what Spencer, the comments that he made.
I think, Darlene, what I'd like to add to that is there's some tremendous new innovative ideas happening all the way across the district. And it would be great if parents and students and staff shared those ideas on the Thought Exchange so everyone was aware of all of the exciting opportunities that are available in every school. And I know, Spencer, you have some incredible things that are going on in your school, and it would be good to share. So I totally agree, Darlene.
And Julia, and I agree. And the new curriculum and all of those ideas that have been presented to us in the new curriculum gives us lots of flexibility and lots of room to grow and be inclusive of all learners.
Julia, just to touch on what you said, to find out what's going on in other areas. So is it then possible to send somebody like maybe a videographer going into different schools, and not to just to show off or anything, but just to share what's happening in other places? I mean, I just so, because I was not aware that, for example, a school in Hazleton that Agnes put me in touch with was doing some fantastic things with place-based learning. So I only found that out maybe a month or two ago.
Spencer, you have taken the words out of my mouth. I have really wanted to have almost like a mini promo video for each school, and then host a free movie night at theatre, but COVID kind of put a little stop to that. But it's still a dream that I have, because it's great to hear about it, but when you see it in action, and we're so lucky as district staff and many of our principals, because we get to see the bigger scope. And I would love to be able to make those movies when we open up a little bit. I think that is a good thing for us to pursue. I don't think people are aware that we have outdoor kindergartens. I don't think people are aware of the scope of the robotic program that we have in our schools. And like, it's unbelievable what some of these kids are able to achieve. So I hope that we can achieve that dream, Spencer. So thank you for bringing that up.
That's good. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Kiona. I'm just listening with these different programs that the schools are doing. So they talk about the robotics and outdoor kindergarten and stuff. Is that all driven by the staff and the principals, or is there a need for like parents to participate and volunteer and be stepping up to help these things, or like how do these things sort of get going in schools?
That's a great question. I'm sorry, what's your first name? I don't want to call you Kenders because I feel like that would be inappropriate.
It's Kiona.
Kiona. Kiona, thank you very much for the question. And I'm going to make the assumption that you're here tonight perhaps as a parent in our school district?
Yeah, so I have 3 kids at Kildala in Kitimat, and then I'm also on the Kildala PAC. So I'm sort of curious about how the PAC might be able to support some
and that
of these
was
as well.
That was my first, that was going to be my first layer of response to your question, is that your involvement in your school starts first with your role as a member of the PAC. And as a group of individuals, you have a voice in your school. And that's exactly what you ought to do, is ask for some input into the planning.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the question. I'm looking at the individuals who are on the call, and I know most of you, but there are people out there that Dawn and Ed and Ryan, and I know there are teachers on the call, Kathy and Monica. Does anyone have any questions? And of course, any principal or vice principal, you're all more than welcome to make a comment or ask a question. Would any trustees or the board chair like to make a comment?
Janet, one of the thoughts that I've had, because I've had the opportunity to listen into a few of these calls, which is great. And certainly my brain has been chewing through ideas on where our strategic plan is going. One of the thoughts I had today is I had the opportunity of using technology to work with an agency that's looking after people with barriers in another part of our province. And we had a lot of talk about the use of technology and how lonely people are right now when they can't be at school. And school is so important in terms of that social aspect to support each other and care for each other. But one of the thoughts that I heard looking through what's been already on the website and stuff like that is the importance of storytelling. And Agnes, with or was it Julia, your slides about the level of competencies when we're able to tell our stories was really impacting to me and made me think, how can we do more storytelling as part of learning? It was just a thought I had today, so I thought I'd share it and throw it out to you guys as educators. Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret. And again, that would be a wonderful comment to make on the thought exchange. And those of you who are on the call this evening who have parents or are parents and you have children in your home, you are encouraged to take the overarching question, perhaps put it into a little more kid-friendly language and talk to your children about it and ask them to submit their thoughts on thought exchange. They'd be more than welcome to do so. I am looking and I don't see anyone indicating an interest. Jacqueline, are you trying? I can read your lips that you're trying. Carol, can you try and unmute Jacqueline for me, please? Or not. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to reshare my screen, I believe. And leave you with these lovely human beings. And we chose this picture purposefully because if we're engaging in a 5-year strategic plan, these children have just entered kindergarten. So they will be, as will all of our students, be recipients and gain positive experiences in their school education as a result of the input that we can get from community and from our partners. So as you look at those beautiful humans, think about what we can do to make their experiences in school just that much better. Because together we are better. So thank you very much to everyone for joining us this evening. As mentioned earlier in the presentation, this session has been recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, along with session number 1. This is session number 3 because someone forgot to record session number 2, and so on and so forth. So if you have any questions whatsoever around strategic planning, or you have any difficulty with the thought exchange platform, please use the email address strategic.planning@cmsd.bc.ca. And
I'm back.
Okay, Jacqueline's back. Jacqueline, would you like to share something with us? I'm going to stop sharing. Just a moment.
Okay. I'm at home, and I usually use my laptop, and I have my phone, and it wouldn't allow the microphone access. I realize this is being recorded. I'm going to stop saying that. Sweet potato, you can't come in here right now. So one of the things, I'm Gitsan and I'm Haisla and I'm Shimshan, and I'm a principal and I'm a parent and I'm an auntie and I have family all over these lands. And when I think about strategic planning, I think about how many times teaching staff who are not from our areas and who don't really know local culture come in and say, I really am trying my best to incorporate Indigenous content and knowledge and history in as many ways as I can. But they feel like there's a lack of resources, of locally developed resources. And so when I think about strategic planning, I think about the standard number 9 for teachers that was added last year. And also it's become a part of administrators' practice. And we are all expected to be leaders in changing the history and experience for Indigenous learners in our district. I also know that we are a district that is really focused on equity. And when I consider the population of our district, I really, really, really want so badly for part of our strategic plan to focus on really helping to incorporate Indigenous history, culture, knowledge, ways in a way that's more than putting the poster on our wall. And I know somebody said that before, and it really speaks to me because I turned 40 this year. And when I was a kid, right up till I graduated high school, I never saw anyone that looked like me. I never saw anyone that reflected my culture or my experience. And I really don't want that to be the case for new generations. I really, really want to change that experience. And I work really hard to do that at my own school. But I think, wouldn't it be lovely if we could support the whole district to help teachers do that in a way that doesn't feel scary? Because I know it feels really scary. We all grew up in a world that didn't see us. And I would really like to change that. So I don't know how to make this not just seem like I'm standing on my little soapbox, but it's really important. And if you look at our populations, it's really important for the kids and for their parents and their grandparents. And it's also really important for the non-Indigenous families because this piece needs to be learned in a way that's open and not full of blame and not full of like shame, but just in a way that changes things so that when we get the feedback from grade 10s, it isn't so full of the really heavy stuff that they experience every day. And also just looking at the graphs. I'm going to just say looking at the graphs. I feel like we should have some kind of numeracy intervention for Indigenous children all over the district because that jumped out at me in a really big way. I have lots to share, but I don't want to be like commanding your meeting. But this is really important to my heart. And I'm going to try with every part of my being not to get onto Thought Exchange and just vote my own self up and up and up. But I am going to talk to a lot of people and ask them to please help us so that we understand what it is you want. I think one of the biggest things is that people like me are heard. Because often, when your experiences, you're never heard, you stop trying. And I don't want that to be the case. I want the next 5 years to be like powerful learning for people. And I'm going to stop now because I think I made my point. But I'm here. And I'm going to go have supper.
Okay, well, before you have supper, I want to thank you for your thoughts. They're extremely eloquent. And as your colleagues have suggested in the chat, that extremely well put, and thank you for your contribution. And I hope your dinner is fabulous.
It's fabulous. My little brother can make a mean chili, and I'm going to keep listening, but I'm just going to turn off all of this.
Okay,
so
no problem.
Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the effort to come back into the meeting.
You bet. Okay, I'm turning me off.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone after, you don't have to keep up with Jacqueline, but if there's, I'm going to give you the one last chance for anyone out there who wants to have the last word, because I don't necessarily need to have it. Okay, again, whether you're a parent, whether you are a potential by-election trustee, whether you are a grandparent, an aunt, or like Jacqueline, a person who wears many hats, we appreciate you taking this hour out of your very, very valuable time to be with us, to talk about Coast Mountain School District, to talk about where we've been, and to talk about where we're going to go next. And wherever the Board of Education sets our target, we will go there, and we will go there together. So thank you, everyone. And you are more than welcome to attend session 4 and 5 if you'd like, for a repeat of performance. You never know, something could be drastically different. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Take care and be safe.